Have you ever heard of the Bermuda Triangle? It's this mysterious patch of the Atlantic Ocean, roughly between Bermuda, Florida, and Puerto Rico. For decades, it's been blamed for swallowing ships and planes without a trace. It's a place where compasses supposedly go wild and rescue missions vanish. Today, we're diving deep into the heart of this legend. We'll explore some of the most famous maritime mysteries tied to the triangle and see if we can separate fact from fiction. Are we dealing with supernatural forces, rogue waves, or just a whole lot of hype? Let's set sail and find out. Our first stop is one of the earliest and most chilling tales from the triangle, the USS Cyclops. Picture this. It's March 1918. World War I is raging. The Cyclops, a massive US Navy collier ship, over 540 feet long, is loaded with more than 10,000 tons of manganese ore. It has a crew of 306 people. After leaving Brazil, it makes an unscheduled stop in Barbados and then sets off for Baltimore. And then nothing, it vanished. No SOS, no wreckage, no lifeboats. Nothing was ever found. To this day, the loss of the Cyclops remains the single largest loss of life in US naval history not involving combat. So what happened? Theories went flying. Some whispered about German U-boats, but Germany denied any knowledge of it, and there were no records of submarine activity in that area at that time. Others pointed to the captain, George Worley, who was apparently disliked by his crew. Did a mutiny break out? Or did he defect to the Germans? It sounds like a movie plot, but there's zero evidence. A more grounded theory points to the ship itself. The Cyclops was known to have engine troubles. Plus, it was overloaded with heavy ore. Experts now believe the most likely scenario is structural failure. A powerful storm, common in that area, could have snapped the heavily laden ship in two, sending it to the bottom of the ocean so quickly that there was no time to send a distress call. It's a tragic but plausible explanation for a 100-year-old mystery. Let's fast forward to the end of World War II, December 1945. This is probably the most famous Bermuda Triangle story of all. The disappearance of Flight 19. 5 U.S. Navy Avenger torpedo bombers took off from Fort Lauderdale, Florida for a routine training exercise. These were seasoned pilots in reliable planes. But a couple of hours into the flight, things went horribly wrong. The flight leader, Lieutenant Charles Taylor, radioed in, completely lost. He reported that his compasses were malfunctioning and he couldn't tell which way was west. His last transmissions were confused and frantic. He thought they were over the Florida Keys, but they were likely far out over the Atlantic. The real tragedy was compounded when a Martin Mariner flying boat with a 13-man crew was sent out to search for them. That rescue plane also disappeared and never even radioed in. In total, 6 aircraft and 27 men vanished in a single afternoon. The Navy's official report was baffling, concluding the cause was unknown. This incident is the cornerstone of the entire Bermuda Triangle legend. So what's the real story? Well, Lieutenant Taylor had recently transferred to Florida and wasn't familiar with the area. It is believed he misidentified the islands below him and led his squadron further out to sea instead of back to land. As for the rescue plane, the Martin Mariner was nicknamed the Flying Gas Tank. It was notorious for having fuel vapor leaks. The theory is that it simply exploded in midair, which would explain why it vanished so suddenly without a trace. A nearby ship actually reported seeing a fireball in the sky that night. Now let's talk about the El Faro. This is a much more recent case from 2015, proving that the Triangle's reputation for danger isn't just a thing of the past. The El Faro was a 790-foot-long cargo ship traveling from Florida to Puerto Rico. Its route took it straight into the path of Hurricane Joaquin, a powerful Category 4 storm. The captain believed he could navigate around the storm, but Joaquin was unpredictable and intensified rapidly. The ship lost propulsion and was left adrift in monstrous seas with waves over 40 feet high and winds well over 100 miles per hour. The crew fought bravely to save the ship, but they were simply overwhelmed by the raw power of the hurricane. The El Faro sank, taking all 33 crew members with it. Unlike the older cases, we know exactly what happened to the El Faro. Its voyage data recorder, the black box, was recovered from the ocean floor, 3 miles deep. It captured the final 26 hours on board, including the captain's conversations and the sounds of the storm tearing the ship apart. The investigation revealed a series of factors: outdated weather reports, a risky decision to stick to the planned route, and ultimately, the ship's propulsion failure at the worst possible moment. The loss of the El Faro is a devastating modern reminder that this stretch of ocean is no joke. It's not about aliens or portals. It's about meteorology and respecting the immense power of nature. Hurricanes in this region are a very real, very deadly threat. Another classic tale is that of the Carol A. Deering, a 5-masted commercial schooner. It was found hard aground and completely abandoned off the coast of Cape Hatteras, North Carolina, in January 1921. Cape Hatteras is often considered the northern tip of the triangle. The ship was a ghost ship. The lifeboats were gone, the ship's log was missing, and personal belongings were left behind. The only sign of life was a 6-toed cat found wandering the deck. Food was laid out in the galley as if the crew was about to sit down for a meal. It was as if they had just vanished into thin air. The mystery deepened when a message in a bottle was found. It claimed the Deering had been captured by pirates. This fueled public imagination, but the message was later proven to be a hoax. So what really happened? The investigation was massive, involving multiple government agencies. Theories ranged from mutiny to piracy to the ship falling victim to one of the powerful storms that frequent the area, known as the Graveyard of the Atlantic. It's possible the crew abandoned ship in the lifeboats during a storm, believing the schooner was sinking, only to be lost at sea themselves while the empty vessel drifted on. We'll likely never know for sure, but the eerie image of that empty ship, with dinner waiting on the table, has cemented its place in maritime lore. So, after looking at these cases, what's the verdict on the Bermuda Triangle? Is it really a cursed vortex of doom? The evidence suggests probably not. Let's look at the facts. Firstly, this area of the ocean is one of the most heavily trafficked in the world. It sees a constant flow of cruise ships, cargo vessels, and private boats. Statistically, more traffic means more accidents. It's simple probability. Secondly, the weather here is notoriously volatile. It's in the heart of Hurricane Alley, and the warm waters of the Gulf Stream can spawn sudden, violent storms with little warning. These conditions are a recipe for disaster for any vessel. Then there's the geology of the seafloor. The region has some of the deepest ocean trenches in the world, like the Puerto Rico Trench, which is over 27,000 feet deep. If a ship or plane goes down here, finding the wreckage is like finding a needle in a continent-sized haystack. It could lie undiscovered forever. Also, many of the famous triangle stories have been exaggerated over the years. Investigations by journalists and the Coast Guard have found that many reported disappearances either happened outside the triangle, were explained later, or were just embellished for a good story. Even the U.S. Coast Guard officially states that they do not recognize the existence of the Bermuda Triangle as a specific geographic area of hazard to ships or planes. They find that the number of disappearances in this area is no greater than in any other part of the ocean with similar traffic and weather conditions. In the end, the idea of the Bermuda Triangle is a powerful one. It taps into our fear of the unknown and our fascination with mystery. The stories of lost ships and planes are compelling, but when we look closer, we find logical, if tragic, explanations rooted in human error, mechanical failure, and the awesome, untamable power of the ocean. The real mystery isn't about portals to another dimension, but about the specific final moments of those who were lost at sea. Moments we can only piece together from the clues they left behind. The legend lives on, but the reality is far more grounded in the world we know. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this dive into maritime mysteries, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more content. See you next time.